Kieran Gillen and Valerio Schiti continue the world's judgment as Tony Stark and the Eternals try and figure a way out to destroy the Progenitor Celestial without it causing the utter destruction of Earth and its people, all while the mutants launch an attack on Avengers Mountain to kill the Eternals. Kieran Gillen again keeps Judgment Day chugging along nicely with an issue that really cracks open the whole Judgment Day aspect of the event, doling out some big, harsh, yet true judgments on characters like Captain America, Emma Frost, and Destiny. Again, I really enjoyed that Progenitor is getting its own narration of the events that are happening around them, and I really like the idea that it even sees stuff like the Quiet Council meeting, and thanks to this, it really makes the Progenitor feel like us the reader. We get to see everything that's happening on the page even if other characters can't, and for it to be kind of like us the reader and seeing all these events and getting to judge these characters, it's very much like what we do as readers. We judge characters by what they do in the comic and their actions, and if they do something that's kind of morally objectable or dangerous, we kind of judge them for it. So I kind of like that aspect that Gillen is capturing with this character, and I'm intrigued to see where he's going to go with it. In terms of the big actual battle, Gillen adheres to the rules he set up with the Eternals through their series, with them not wanting to fight, but their literal genetic programming makes them try and correct excess deviation, which again goes to show they aren't really heroes or villains in this book. There's no good side or bad side. It's just people following their base instincts because they have to. They can't actually go against it. There was also a really cool part there with Phastos warning the other heroes that, hey, we're going to actually go against you because it's in our programming, so you have to kind of subvert that and kind of work in secret around us, which I thought was a nice little touch. The final page cliffhanger reveal of Star Fox was fantastic, and the plan to use his powers to bring everyone together is a great idea, but I cannot wait for it to backfire spectacularly and just ruin everything, since relying on the galaxy's greatest PERVERT to save the world isn't exactly an airtight plan, so I'm excited to see what Eros is going to bring to the table. Valerio Schiti's artwork continues to wow me with its bright colours and fast-paced action. The pages depicting the possible destruction of most of the Earth were brilliant and cinematic, and were very straight to the point, utilising bright reds to show the world just being ripped apart, and deep blues to show the aftermath and just sort of cool down of it all. And they used it really well, and I would be also remiss if I didn't mention Eros's new design with his kind of pimp suit gigolo 70s costume going on. It's just so fucking good and fits his character so damn well. Judgment Day issue 3 was another fantastic issue of the event, which dived into the whole judgment aspect of the story and its effects on the people around the Earth, including the heroes, finishing up with a really fun cliffhanger that throws a kind of perverted wrench into everything. I'm going to give this issue a 10 out of 10. Judgment Day issue 3 finds Ajax trying to justify the Progenitor's words about judging everyone individually and letting the total tally decide the world's fate, thinking that it's just some test from their god, and their god wouldn't be this unjust. Makari knows that their god could be this unjust, making Ajax think that using a failing human like Tony Stark as an element was wrong. Tony won't accept blame for this, since only he can do that to himself, but Cap tells him the blame can wait since they need to tidy up this mess first. Progenitor focuses on Captain America, knowing that he seeks to inspire and lead, so he judges Captain America first, taking on the form of Cap and knowing that he is the dream of a better country, and Steve has tried to inspire a country for a century, but it gets worse every day, meaning Steve Rogers is a failure, giving him a bad judgment. Iron Man thinks that if he judges Cap by that standard, what chance do the rest of them have? Cap tells his friend that they don't need to play this game, not unless there is another option, but he tells Tony to find a way out of it, while he goes to calm the world down. The 6 chosen humans to represent the Hex continue with their lives as Komali, Arjun's widow, looks over her husband's dead body, trying to carry on with all the dignity she can, but she knows later on she'll howl and cry when the Progenitor tells her of the Judgment Day, causing her to curse it. In the exclusion, Uranos tells Droog that the new progenitor god is better than the old Celestials, knowing he's right to want to wipe away the world of disappointments. Droog doesn't think that the test has been failed yet, and him being there doesn't mean things are going badly, but he thought it wise to consult Uranos' knowledge. Uranos says that Captain America was judged a failure for not fulfilling his aims and duty, just like how the Eternals failed at theirs, but it's not too late to make amends, and any deviation is excess deviation in his eyes. Droog knows he's right, psychically telling his Eternals to prepare the Hex and Psychic Siege again, and they will not fail this time. Uranos wants to be let out again, but Droog knows that he would have to be more desperate than he already is right now to allow his grandfather to get within arm's reach of him. Iron Man tells the gathered Eternals and Mr. Sinister of an internal node they can hit on the progenitor to break it apart, but Ajax doesn't want to turn their god off, wanting to work to understand it better. Phastos knows that its death would cause backlash to the Eternals and the war could be over, but he warns that the destruction could cascade and an explosion that would destroy much of the top part of Earth would happen. Tony wants to move on as Ajax and Macario leave to pray to their god, as Phastos believes that the Eternals should make a sacrifice to everyone since this is their fault and their world has outgrown them, but if Tony starts his plan, they will have to try and stop it since their principles will force them against Tony and the others. He implores Tony to do it in secret, something Sinister quite enjoys, psychically contacting Destiny to give her information on the node. On Krakoa, Xavier dies from continuous strain in the psychic battle as Destiny arrives, telling Emma that they need to meet since they have an opportunity to strike now. Emma knows that she's busy but begins a psychic meeting, telling Irene to be quick. Destiny says that Sinister was kidnapped by the Eternals and he helped build the Celestial Progenitor, but he also discovered its weakness, telling the mutants that if they attack, they can stop Judgment Day and the loss would paralyze the Eternals and the war would be over. Destiny does know there is a downside though, and the devastation would be immense, but having looked into the future, she knows that won't actually happen, so they must act swiftly. Kate thinks that Destiny is cheating by calling for a vote since Xavier is dead and Storm is busy on Mars, but Irene doesn't care that she's being accused of planning, since that's exactly what she is doing as someone who can see the future, having planned around the weaknesses of her fellow mutants. The vote is cast and it only just passes, with even Hope wanting to move forward with the plan. Emma wants to tell the other war captains on what they are going to do, but Destiny tells her not to tell Scott and Jean thanks to their part in outing the resurrection protocols to the public, and they are not part of the Quiet Council. Exodus knows that the mutants have used the Phoenix to bring back mutant kind before, so now it's time for humankind to share in the danger and help save the world. But Kurt asks if they can afford to even send a strike team into the Celestials since they are busy on Krakoa. Emma says that she's taken a bit of a diplomatic approach to it, as Scott finds that Crow and the Deviants have arrived on Krakoa through the gateways. Crow introduces himself, glad to be standing with his brothers in arms, but Scott tells him they aren't Deviants, but Crow knows that they are able to pass through their gateways, meaning they still share some genes, enough to call each other brothers. He tells the X-Men to go and save the world while they blunt the Eternals' blade with their sheer numbers. Steve meanwhile tells Tony that things are getting pretty bleak out in the world, asking how progress is going, but Tony doesn't think that it's going safely, as suddenly Ajax warns them of some infiltrators to the divine boundary. Ajax notes how it's an army of mutants who are coming for them, so Tony demands to know if Sinister knows anything about this, as the mutant ejects a panel off of the progenitor's leg, giving the X-Men a way into the Celestial and towards the node. Tony knows that with what he did, millions will die, but Sinister thinks that billions will definitely live though, and while they won't be thanked, mutants are quite used to that. The Eternals' principles kick in, demanding they protect the Celestials, as Jean wonders why, just for once, this couldn't have been done easy. Logan knows that on the bright side, they have the experience of doing things the old-fashioned way as the X-Men meet the Eternals in battle. Jean finds herself needing to get past the dangerous Icarus, so Exodus fights the Eternal, smashing him into the ground as she heads inside the Celestial through the hatch. Iron Man follows, demanding she stop, but Jean shatters the node. Tony tells her that if that node blows up, there is a chance the whole Celestial will explode and the shockwave will devastate entire cities and kill millions. Jean says she didn't know, knowing that she should have, as Tony checks the readings, thinking they're going to be okay, but suddenly the explosion happens, engulfing most of the northern hemisphere, wiping entire cities off the map and killing millions, including all of the heroes. Suddenly, Jean and the others appear, with the woman knowing that this isn't real and they were all just inside the Celestial's mind, and it showed them what would happen. The people around the world celebrate that they are still alive and well, but the Celestial knows that some will die thanks to the sheer fright of what they just witnessed. But the number is inconsequential to them. The Progenitor tells the people that the heroes think themselves above Judgement, but now all see that they are mistaken and they have only a little time left to justify themselves. Judgments continue and Emma is given a thumbs down, Crow was given a thumbs up, and Destiny and Mystique are given thumbs down too. Jean meanwhile confronts Sinister in the psychic realm, demanding to know why he never told them about the risks. Sinister says that she would have known about this had she stayed on the council, giving her his own thumbs down judgment as he returns to the meeting with Ajax in the real world, with the Eternal wanting to kill Sinister for betraying them. Sinister knows that it was worth the try and it didn't work, asking Tony what's next. Tony thinks that they have no choice now but to be judged, but Steve thinks that they need to make sure they pass, thinking that everything so far would have scared a lot of people around the world, and there is going to be things that they regret, but they need to find a way to pull the world together. Cersei gets a wonderful idea about that, sneaking into the exclusion with Jack of Knives, who makes it clear that he's not joining their fight, he's just doing it for their paycheck. Jack is glad their target is a low security prisoner since the warden there isn't very nice, but she doesn't care about the low security ones. The being inside the cell hears them, calling out to them, but Cersei shuts them up, telling them that they are being broken out since they are in terrible trouble and they can help the world sing from the same hymn sheet. Cersei reveals that she is freeing Eros, who loves the idea that the world will have to realize that all you need is love.